Hi and hello, watch fans, and welcome to another edition of the Real Time Show with me, your friendly neighborhood watchmaker, Rob Nuds. I'm here in the glass igloo outside Villa Sarasan for Time to Watch's 2025 with Chris from Exaequo, a very interesting watch brand that has been showing today on the upper levels of the villa. Tell us, how has the fair been for you so far, Chris?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to talk about the brand and the watches that we are introducing. The fair is amazing, is very interesting. We met a lot of clients that are in the business, but also a lot of clients that are private and very aficionados of the brand. There are many fan lovers because the brand has a long history, not too much long, but quite interesting. If you wish, I can talk a bit about it.
I would absolutely love to hear more about the history of Exaequo.
Yeah, Exaequo started in the 80s. Is a brand that started business in Geneva, and the company name was also Exaequo. And finally, he started to create watches that could be at the same time modern, artistic, but keeping the tradition that is one of the main points of the Swiss watches. So finally, they decided to call the company and the brand Exaequo. That means from the Latin, equally. So for the same value, so tradition, surrealism, and the same value have the same value. So finally, they started to create a brand that looks like a round watch that has been melted and became what is called a melting watch. So finally, the melting watch was introduced on the market on the 87, and on the 88 was at Baselworld. It has been a great success that many people start to fall in love with that brand. And also many celebrities purchased Exaequo, like Paul McCartney, for example, and Jim Carrey, Jerry Lewis, and many others. And what happens that the brand was so big success that decided to join the forces with the most famous worldwide painter, Salvador Dali. And then they make an agreement with the company to manage the brand Salvador Dali. And finally, the Exaequo Dali watch was born. Mm-hmm. So it sold again millions of watches. And after that, for several reasons, the company expired, and we decided to relaunch 1 year ago, starting from the model that was the bestseller and the iconic watch that was the first melting watch. The melting watch is peculiar because it looks like also a bean, maybe. It depends on how you want to think about, but for sure it looks like a watch when you go into the sauna, or and you go out and you see that they change completely design. But it is really iconic creation, I think, because of the shape of the case, the shape of the buckle, and the shape of the strap. I think there is nothing in the market like that. When I saw the watches on the first time, I was 18. I see in a watch store, and I saw, what is it? Usually they are round, mm-hmm. They are carré, they have a regular shape, and what is it? And I felt in love, but it was quite expensive for me at that time. So finally, for me, it's like a dream that I have the opportunity to work with this brand, to revive it. And also I read about amazing history. There is Paul McCartney that was an owner of Exaequo watches, and there were rumors that he passed away.
Yeah, of course.
So finally he gifted a watch to Jeff Emerick, a person working with him, where he wrote on the back of his Exaequo, Paul is alive. And you can see this history on Google. It's quite amazing. So, and also Jim Carrey was wearing an Exequo when he wanted to introduce his movie, The Mask, The Mask, with Cameron Diaz when he was in Cannes. He was wearing an Exequo. So I say, wow, it is an artistic watch. A real great artist. Love the watch. I love it too. And so why should it should not be revived? And that's why we went on the market again.
1 year back in business, bringing an iconic artistic watch back from the dead, effectively. How's it been going so far? And why did you decide to come to Time to Watches? Was it to get some feedback from the community? Was it to find retail partners or to make new connections in the media world?
So the decision to be to Time to Watches, there are several reasons. For sure, we have a wide community because we started to deliver in July and we are at the beginning of April, so it's quite more than 6 months that we are delivering, but we are delivering in around 40 countries worldwide through our e-commerce. But what is important to say that many important name of the business as a retailer came to us and say, we wish to have Exequo watches. And so we think that also for our client is interesting to have offline stores where they can live the experience to go in a store to touch and feel the watch instead of coming only directly to the company. Because I think that the e-commerce is fantastic, is amazing, but I think also that offline business is also important because the experience of touch and feel is something really important. So we decided to come to Time to Watches in order to find new clients, but mainly to meet the client where we have started the business, and also to meet the client that want to discover the business. So finally we fixed the appointment to be in Time to Watches. Everyone came every hour. It was a really hard job, but we are really happy because we had the opportunity to meet also clients that become friends. I mean, not only the people of the community, I mean, a collector and so on, but also the distributor, the retailer. And it's something that I love really much because also we become friend. I become friend of a private client, but also of retailer, distributor. And I think it's the best because if you have a passion that you share all together, it's the best because it's not doing business.
Yeah, it's a joy, right?
It's a joy.
It's a pleasure and it's a hobby almost, or at least it feels like it. It is hard work, as you say, to be standing on your feet all week and seeing new faces every hour, sometimes even more than one new face an hour, and explaining the same story over and over again. But because you love it and you believe in it, it's not really the worst work in the world, is it? Now, you've brought 3 examples of the watches along with you now, 3 very distinct shapes. 2 of them are more figure of 8-ish, shall we say, more traditionally melted. And then one looks like a slightly slanted pair of lips, shall we say, the kiss watch, let's call it. Now, are these 3 forms that have been revived from the previous collection, or are these new interpretations of previous models?
So the one that I'm wearing is the previous collection that we have developed. We are working of we call it classical melting watch. Classic. Why? Because we took the shape of the past and for sure we improved the watch because we made a 2-level dial. And we have added 4 screws on the back so people can change the battery, fix the movement, or change the movement if needed. Why? Because in the previous model of the 80s, it was mainly a monoblocks. It was one piece. So in order to change the battery, you had to remove the glass. And then remove the dial, the hands. It was really a watchmaker job that many people don't like. I mean, I'm not talking about watchmaker. I'm talking about other kind of people. And also there was the risk to broke the glass and so on. So finally, this is the watch that we call it classic, and we are developing in let's say standard color that we keep in our catalog and website. And about this model, we are here to introduce a new version because we had the new color with limited edition that people can see here in Time to Watches and our website. But also, as you said, we introduced two models, let's say completely new. One that, remember you the lips, is a sketch that I found of the 80s. And I asked to Mr. Italo Fontana, a quite famous designer, is also the founder of U-Boat and our partner. I asked him, please make an interpretation of this lips watch sketch that I found. And he say, okay, I will do modern. And I think that the result is amazing because you have a very modern style that is unisex watch, a bit bigger in comparison of the classic one. The name of this watch is Revolve because of the design of the past, and also because they have a revolve buckle, if we can say. And also because the buckle is made of in a butterfly, is a butterfly buckle, and it's nice because it's modern, because it's surrealist, so in the same concept of the philosophy of the brand, but it's also something really modern and new with the silicone band, with the index with filling with oil, with black oil, and with Luminova. So it's completely a modern watch. And the other model is an evolution of the classic model. We call it polyhedron, because like a polyhedron, it has many facets. In this case are 62, so it is like a cut in 62 times by machine. So it is a very peculiar watch because it needs 2 days of job to create one watch case, because one job is made by machine, by CNC machine, then another day is work by hand, and then again by machine. So it's really an hard job to produce this case that is made also of sterling silver 925.
Very nice.
As people can see in one of the cut or one of the facet, we put the logo of the silver 925 that also wrote on the back. This watch is created for the 101 year of the surrealism. Mm-hmm. So it is 101 pieces. Mm-hmm. We have black dial, white dial, and also we have another dial where is written 101 years.
Nice.
But the full collection is 101 pieces only. And also it's peculiar because the index number are three-dimensional. So it's really, I think it's a watch, but it's not only a watch. It's a piece of art, and also is a piece of jewelry because it's in precious metal. We should not forget.
So what are the price points of these three pieces that you have with you today?
So the price point about the Exaequo classes is 520 up to 585 Swiss franc, excluded VAT. And about the one that you call with the lips, the name is Revolve. The price point is 650 up to 700.
Okay, very good.
And the polyhedron, the sterling silver one, that is a piece of art and jewelry, limited edition, 101 pieces only. The price is 2,250.
Brilliant. Chris, thank you so much for introducing Exaequo to us. It's a pleasure to have brands like yours here at Villa Sarasan, and I can't wait to come and talk to you again, learn more about the brand, and hopefully get you back on the Real Time Show in the future for a full-length episode. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for the invitation, the opportunity. I love watches.
So do we all. Well, you don't see that every day, do you, Alan? What did you make of the crazy, surrealist pieces of Exaequo?
For those that listen regularly to the Real Time Show, know that not only do I love the person, Silva Menron, but also his watch. So I've obtained one of his, and it's definitely a form-shaped watch. I love that this brand's tagline is the melting watch. So some people have nicknamed Sylvain Meron's watches the Crash by Cartier, and therefore derive everything back to Dali. I guess they can say the same thing about this brand, although the Revolve model might resemble a Cartier Crash marrying a Hamilton Elvis watch. But I loved the polyhedron in sterling silver. So I don't know anything about this brand. I'm definitely going to listen to this episode. I missed them in the Glass Igloo. What are the price points, Rob? And how old is this brand? And do they themselves think they're very unique?
Yeah, okay, well, starting with the price points, they start around 700, I think, around that kind of ballpark. For the sterling silver polyhedron 925, they go up to 2,450 euros, so they're not cheap. Question, how long have they been around? They've been around for longer than you'd imagine. They were around in the 90s, and they were quite popular at that time. They had quite a few celebrities wearing these watches, and they were directly inspired by Dali, basically. These ones were. So the Crash wasn't, theoretically. These were taken from the Persistence of Memory, I think is the name of... Is that the melting clock picture?
I think so, yeah.
And as a result, they kind of stand on their own. They're different from the Crash and they're different from the Mirage because they really do reference that openly, that this is like a nod to the surrealist movement. And of course, it was around, I think they were really popular around the time that Dali would have died, which I think was 1989, but don't quote me on that. So I think that they had like a moment in pop culture. You can see these on the wrists of like stars, TV stars in the early 90s, can't you? You can just imagine it. You can imagine Madonna wearing one. You can imagine Adam Duritz wearing one. Like, it seems like the kind of thing that they would have thought was super, super cool at the time. Now it's interesting because, of course, we both love the Mirage, and it would track that we would therefore love this as well. I'm not such a huge fan of this as I am of the Mirage, because there's a lot more logic of asymmetry that goes into the Mirage than there is here. This is more of a lifted concept from Dali, who is one of my favorite artists of all time. But to me, it feels a bit, how can I say it, a bit basic in some ways, which is odd because it's wild, but it doesn't challenge me in any way. It's just there. What do you think about it as a product?
I like it. And I love the fact that they call it the melting watch. And Cartier definitely doesn't have the exclusivity on this Crash vibe thing. I'm happy that they've been around and they surfing that high rise and wave of form-shaped watches. Price-wise, I am curious if it's not difficult for them because it's a bit in the stuck in the middle segment of things. And you know what it also reminds me a bit? I don't know if you know the Grimaldi brothers from Milano that used to be retailers and also had watches under the Grimaldi name and also had these shapes.
Yeah, funnily enough, I encountered some jewelry from Grimaldi in London after the British Watchmakers Day in the pub. One of our new acquaintances pulled out this incredible vintage Grimaldi necklace, and it was an absolute jaw dropper.
Yeah, interesting. So I think it's cool, and I assume there were a time to watches to find wholesalers, retailers, more press. Well, how is it going for them?
Well, it's going, and they have a market, obviously, and I know exactly the kind of client that would buy this watch. I met many of them. Again, I would imagine they're absolutely flying in the States. I know I can almost picture the kind of guy that would be really into this kind of watch. And, there's something for everybody or somebody for anything. There, we'll go with that one. Think of Artia. Artia is going to be a watch that maybe even 2 or 3 in 100 people really love the aesthetic of, and maybe 1 in 1,000 people is going to buy it. But because of the price point and the limitation and the specialness of every piece, that's a market. It works. It's enough. And these guys, they have a place, and they're doing something that nobody else is really doing because they are openly referencing the persistence of memory. Whereas the Crash is its own thing, and its origins are steeped in legend, of course, and the Burneron is a completely different animal itself, even though it is a form watch. This Exaequo product, or all of Exaequo's products, are their own thing.
And the name is the same as the Latin expression of the same of they use it in sports, right? That people come in at the first spot simultaneously. So it's not a tie, but you end up on the same position. Is that what they meant? Because it's in today's terms difficult to spell the name.
Yeah, the name is something that were it brought to me in a pre-release branding meeting, I would have chucked out the window immediately, because nobody instinctively knows how to spell it with the diphthong there, the A-E after the X. Phonetically, you'd probably want to spell it E-X-E-E-Q-U-O. But it's a certain vibe. It's complicated. I think it's a bit more complicated than it needs to be for the products. I don't know whether I would have gone for something like lower hanging, like Surreal Watch or something, or yeah, I suppose you couldn't afford to license the Dali name, but find a Latin word for persistence if it was a bit more aesthetically pleasing. I don't know. It's a tough one for me. It strikes me as a bit try hard, the name. That's my honest feeling.
Interesting.
You like it?
No, I don't. And
No, I
because
don't.
the Latin spelling is EX space AEQUO, and they've tied the two together, and their URL is exaequowatch.com. Their email address is info@exaequo-meltingwatch.com. If I surf their website, in the footer, I try to click on about, it doesn't work. So I think that they have some work to do. And on the fonts of the dial, I see also a lot happening. Besides, it's already a busy case and dial. They put the logo in the V of the number 6 upside down. So that's already, so the E doesn't start on top and tumbles down, but it's reversed. And then they wrote Melting Watch with a very 80-ish font. So my fingers start to itch now to come up with some iterations on their very cool cases.
My favorite thing they do, I've got to say, and I really actually like this, and this is something I might buy, is the melting clock that they do. I think this is really cool, and it's only 69 euros, but like that's quite funny. That's a bit more like ornamental. I would definitely think about buying one of those for $70. That's fun.
Yeah, that is. I didn't even see that. So thank you for pointing that out. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, on that note, I think we'll leave it. I think we would like to get Exaequo back on, speak to Chris again, and have a good chat about exactly how business works, what it looks like, what the volumes they're dealing with are. I mean, hopefully they'll give us a transparent view of the operation and where they're finding success. And I look forward to that. And if anyone in the audience has got any questions or feelings about this brand, because it is obviously a divisive one, then please do get in touch and let us know, and we'll pass them on to the brand.